With that, we will call the vote. Commissioner Clyburn.
I dissent.
Commissioner O'Reilly.
Aye.
Commissioner Carr.
Aye.
Commissioner Rosenworcel.
I dissent.
The chair votes aye. The item is adopted with editorial privileges granted as requested. Thanks to the staff for your terrific work on this item.
What happened here? How did we get here? Well, there's probably an easy answer, but... So last May, I uploaded a video called Net Neutrality, What It Is, Why It's Important, and Why It's in Danger, where I talk about this little topic I take extremely seriously, as well as the hurdles it will likely face months down the line. People tell me that video did a pretty good job at explaining the situation, however I feel like it deserves an update right about now. Before we start though, here's an extremely quick overview for any newcomers to net neutrality, since I've been seeing a lot more people get involved in this conversation as of late. Net neutrality is the idea that all legal content on the internet must be treated equally, and that whichever company provides your internet would not be allowed to block, throttle, hide sites behind paywalls, or prioritize certain content to those who pay up for financial or political gain. It puts every website on an even playing field, and as a result, many, myself included, consider it sort of the internet's equivalent to free speech law. America adopted rules to enforce net neutrality in early 2015, and these rules would be handled by the FCC. However, the situation started to get pretty worrisome after the 45th President Donald Trump took office. While Trump doesn't talk much about net neutrality personally, his few comments make it clear that he is against it. And as a result, his pick to lead the FCC during his presidency was a man who not only dislikes the 2015 ruling, but actively wants to undo it. And before you ask, yes, that is in fact him dressed as Santa Claus holding a fidget spinner and a Nerf gun. No, I don't think it's ironic. Meet Ajit Pai. Your internet bill is about to skyrocket because of this man. Earlier this year, Pai proposed a bill for the FCC to vote on, and its sole purpose was to repeal the 2015 Open Internet Order. This effectively undoes the only rules regarding net neutrality in the entire country, and the name of this bill is the Restoring Internet Freedom Act. Real subtle, guys. The bill was voted on the 14th of December and passed due to a 3-4 vote, and now the internet has been freaking out. However, what a lot of people are forgetting is that while the bill has as of this point passed, it's not officially law yet. In fact, I can't even find a finite date for when this bill would go into effect. However, you shouldn't be resting easy in the slightest here, because as some people have been saying, this is where the fight truly begins. One of the reasons a bill needs time to finally become law is so if other organizations have a problem with it, they can raise an objection and make an attempt to nullify it. For example, when the ACLU challenged a trans military ban, or when that Hawaiian judge challenged Trump's travel ban. That time of challenge is upon us again. It's time to stop the FCC, and there are two major ways I've been personally seeing that we can pull it off. I'm going to go over both of these in this video. The first way to save net neutrality would be with what is called the Congressional Review Act. If you've never heard of this before, it's a Clinton-era safety net that states if a particular agency passes an unfavorable resolution, which just happened, the legislative branch has a chance to undo it. This is how it works. Any number of senators have 60 days to propose a bill with the sole purpose of undoing a recent decision by any one of the US's many agencies. Believe it or not, this part is sort of already underway. Chuck Schumer of New York is an incredibly pro-net neutrality congressman, and he's sort of already gotten the ball rolling on this. However, it would always be helpful to see more members on board with him, so call your representatives and tell them how much this means to you. Anyway, this potential bill would need a majority vote in both the Senate, the House of Representatives, as well as to be signed by the President himself in order to nullify the decision of an agency. Now that sounds pretty simple so far. However, you start to see some hurdles once you actually look at the numbers. The Senate, the House, as well as the President himself all happen to be majority owned by Republicans. Now, not to say they're the bad guys here, but Republicans in general are typically against the idea of governments regulating businesses. As a result, pretty much every person who has ever stood in the way of net neutrality just happened to have been Republican. This is changing a little bit, however. As net neutrality is starting to become more of a hot-button issue, even many Republicans are breaking party lines and saying that they're at least against the FCC's repeal. So that's nice. However, there's still a lot to be done here. The biggest problem for this potential bill would be Trump himself, because even if we could get a CRA repeal to pass both bodies of Congress, Trump will still likely veto it because he is against net neutrality. At this point, the bill would then go back to the Senate and the House, and would then need to get a 2/3 majority vote at both in order to still pass. This is where the real challenge begins. If we look at the raw numbers, things already look pretty grim. At the Senate, this is how many seats are controlled by Republicans versus Democrats, and here's how many votes would be needed in order to reach the 2/3 vote. And likewise, here are the numbers for the House of Representatives as well, which currently look even more grim. Here's where you come in. I implore you to visit this website. Here, assuming you're American, you can put in your state and see who your representatives are, as well as if they're currently in favor of net neutrality. And regardless of if they are or not, reach out to them however you can and inform them your thoughts on this issue and to vote in favor of net neutrality. If there's one thing I've learned from this administration, it's that every single vote counts, and your representative could potentially be the one that saves the internet as we know it. So that's the CRA. The other major way to save net neutrality is unfortunately one we don't have nearly as much agency over, and that is through the legislative branch. In other words, the court system. Minutes after the FCC made its vote to repeal net neutrality, no less than 10 attorney generals from states across the country agreed to sue the agency over this ruling. I've seen some people claim that the FCC vote was in fact illegal. I can't help but feel that that's a little hyperbolic. However, no one can deny that some of the events leading up to this vote were incredibly shady, to the point at which no one would be surprised if there was some sort of ulterior motive at work here. For example, countless of Pi's reasons and explanations for why repealing net neutrality is a good idea have been debunked. The comment phase for this repeal was also a mess. In the months leading up to this vote, the agency received millions upon millions of comments that are anti-net neutrality that not only were identical, but include thousands of verified stolen names from people who are actually advocates, people who don't know what net neutrality is, and even the dead. I'm not exactly sure if the legal system could completely nullify this vote. However, for the time being, the most we could do as everyday citizens is contact our representatives and urge them to take action against the FCC. I'll leave some helpful links below that can help you follow the story as well as help out. This battle can still be won, but you need to get involved.